come up on stage? Would that be all right? Coach, you can come up on stage. Come on.
Should have been high heels.
Well, I'm John. It's nice to meet you. Now, I'm talking to you two right now. Now, I heard that you guys were supposed to go to Disney World. Is that right? Then one of you broke your arm? By the way, his name's John. And he goes by Ace. So, you know what? I'm going by Ace, but from now on, too. That's all I got to say. So, if it's all right with your parents, you guys are going to Disneyland. And you got to see if it's okay with your mom and dad, if that's all right. Mel, would you like the tickets? You all right? Okay. Folks, you're not done. You're not done. Now, folks, did you hear the passion of his kids? Ooh, we got this little sobby nose. But did you hear the passion, the way his kids spoke about him? That's cool. That's cool. That's making a difference. So, Coach, if it's all right with you, you've got $30,000 right here as a scholarship to use in any way that you want for your students, sir.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, it's my fault, not your husband's, for calling you up on stage. I'm for that
Awesome. Kyle?
You feel like a candle in a hurricane, just like a picture in a broken frame. Alone and helpless, like you've lost your fight, but you'll be alright, you'll be alright. 'Cause when push comes to shove, it takes what you're made of. You might bend till you break, 'cause it's all you can take. On your knees, look up, decide you've had enough. You get mad, you get strong, wipe your head, shake it off, and you stay.
There are fans, and then there are super fans. And for our next story, we needed a super fan. He's a top agent, he's a top operating partner, he's master faculty, and most importantly, he is a die-hard fan of Florida State University. And he is an even bigger fan of the special guest he'll be interviewing. He told me when we talked to him about this opportunity, he said, "The man I'm going to be interviewing is the kind of man you want your son to grow up to be." Please welcome to the stage a person we are all proud of, Gene Rivers.
Hello, Keller Williams. Hello, Mo. I know you're out there. I'm really thrilled to be here today, and I want you to watch a video because this is an amazing man you're about to meet. Watch this video.
My mom was sacrificing her life and working to put a roof over our head. My mom passed, we were renting a house. I was still in school, so I couldn't pay rent every month. Because of my mom's death, I was the beneficiary of the insurance. I took that money, and that's how I was able to buy our first home, and it was a sense of peace. In 1997, I was drafted by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Coach Tony Dungy at that time took all the rookies and put us all in the room and challenged us. Said, "Hey, if you guys are gonna live in this community, you wanna give back, be a part of this community." So I thought about my mom's dream of homeownership, and I know the struggle, so I understand the pain and sacrifice families make.
What'd you think, Nick? It's okay. To see someone who gets their first opportunity to own a house and to make it their home is a really special moment. You can see a smile on their face that you can't ever replace.
A new chapter that has opened for me and my family. I'm very grateful.
I think over the years for me that I've been able to use the program as therapy because we all cope in some form or fashion. I think my mom would be happy that I didn't stray off, that I stayed on the path that she wanted me to, that I was strong enough in her eyes to handle the pressure, but also take something and make something positive out of it.
Ladies and gentlemen, please give a KW welcome to Mr. Warwick Dunn.
Good morning.
I got to tell you, you've given me so much pleasure for so many years on the field and now off the field. I got to ask you though, when your mom passed, what made you decide to buy a home instead of lease a home?
Well, early on in 1993, when I lost my mom, I knew that was my mom's dream, to own her home and to provide an environment for my brothers sisters and myself to have a place that we can call home, have a place of security, something safe, and never have an opportunity. I actually took the money from the life insurance policy and I bought my first home when I was still a senior in high school for my brothers and sisters to live in. So I think my mom.
So it's 1993. You're in Tallahassee. Your mom is gone. You bought a home. You're essentially the parent for your siblings, and you have 5 brothers and sisters. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm the oldest of 6. So I was 18 at the time, and the youngest was, I want to say, 8 years old. She hadn't turned 9 yet, and that was a struggle, trying to be a parent and also trying to be a freshman running back at Florida State, trying to handle college, but also being 5.5 hours away from my brothers and sisters. I mean, that was a struggle, but I did have a lot of great support with my grandmother, my pops, Malin Brooks, who I call him Choo-Choo, who's my Little League football coach. I relied on a network back in Baton Rouge to help support me through that time. And I can tell you, Coach Bowden was probably the greatest individual at that time in my life for me, because he gave me the opportunity to leave college at a moment's notice. That if I need to go home, go home. And I can tell you, every summer, every weekend that I had off, I wasn't playing football or running track, I was in Baton Rouge with the family.
So mentally, you're 18 years old, you're the parent, and your siblings are out of town, you're playing football, you're doing your studies, and by the way, playing football, they won the national championship in 1993, so it's a little more than playing football.
It's a journey.
But how did you mentally deal with all this? This is a lot for an 18-year-old.
It is, but I think, and I've said this in years past, is that I think my mom was preparing me for something that ever happened to her, that she was preparing me for that moment. And I just think I was actually mature beyond my years at that time. I mean, I was having grown-up conversations and having my mom make decisions when I was 12, 14 years old. And I was driving across the country. I know we're not supposed to be driving at 14. But,
we're not listening, we're not.
Yeah, but my mom was a police officer. And, so we did some things, that was probably illegal back then, but we were trying to survive, right? And it was all about survival, but I was literally, in the summertime, my whole family, we ran track in the summertime that kept us off the streets. And we would drive across the country for track meets. And I drove to Lincoln, Nebraska. I helped my mom drive to Champaign, Illinois, and so forth. So I mean, it was just the 6 of us and my mom. And we really didn't have a big network and support system. You think my mom made $36,000 being a Baton Rouge City police officer at that time. So it wasn't a lot of money that we were making. We couldn't afford to buy a home. We were living check to check. So we did everything together, and I had to help her make decisions. Even though I don't think I was making decisions, she was probably bouncing ideas off of me, and she was making decisions, but she helped me understand more of what the adult life would be like.
Tell us a little bit more about your mom, because here she is, a police officer, and she was actually doing the job when you lost her, correct?
Yes, sir. I was a senior in high school at this time. January 7th, my mom was working at extra duty. She was working extra duty to make extra money, and she's working at a grocery store. And that night, grocery store manager, my mom, was making a routine night deposit at a bank. And from that, 2 guys opened fire on a police car. My mom was in her police car in a police uniform, and they opened fire when they was trying to make just a routine night deposit. And that night, I think, just changed the course of my life forever. I mean, if you think about 2 days before, January 5th is my actual birthday. So I lose my mom 2 days after my birthday. And, it's pain, right? Pain for years. But I understand her sacrificing, her struggle, and what environment, by having these conversations, that she wanted for, not just for myself, but also my younger brothers and sisters.
Yeah. You and I talked earlier, and I know you mentioned that this was a problem internally for you for years, and you didn't really recognize it. And some years later, you were able to discover counseling, and that helped you work through it quite a bit. So.
Yes, sir. Well, if you think about, you graduate high school, then you go to Florida State. For 4 years, I was just trying to focus on get your degree, go to school, get your degree. And thank God that Coach Bowden was there, and I had a great roommate in Charlie Ward, who I can bounce ideas off and express myself.
He's a pretty good roommate, Charlie Ward.
Yeah.
Right?
He's a great guy. I love Charlie. But if you think about, when people look back on my college days, I didn't talk, I didn't go out, I didn't go to parties. I went to every class when I was at Florida State. I didn't go out, I didn't drink, I didn't do anything. I had probably the worst.
Yeah, 5 kids to raise.
Well, yeah, but it's just like I was living a shell life,
yeah.
Because my focus wasn't about it wasn't on work. It was about, I need to make sure that I get my degree, set the example, but also take care of the younger ones. And from that, I graduated in 4 years. I stayed my senior year, I graduated in 4 years, and I got drafted to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I think that was really a culmination of me just growing and maturing into a young man that when you have a great coach and Coach Dungy who can help guide and lead you in a sense. And his family was another focal point for me as growth as well. So years later, I was in Tampa for 5 years, and I went to Atlanta 2002. And I'm sorry I never won a Super Bowl there. I tried. But I would tell you, in 2002, our receiver, Sean Jefferson, we were sitting in a locker room one day, and he was just talking to me about, man, this guy went to counseling to play football. I was like, play football? I can do that in my sleep. I've been doing that since I was 7. So, and later that night, I really sat down and thought about, like, wow, this guy went to counseling to help him to become a better football player. I can do that to work on my life. So, a little bit later, I started going to counseling, and then, 2003, I actually started going to counseling. I went to counseling, and my teammates could see a huge change in me because, I was quiet, I was non-emotional, I was a real introvert. And counseling for me really helped me grow overall, but also see the bigger picture in my life.
So how did that play into you starting Homes for the Holidays?
Well, Homes for the Holidays started as a program in 1997, and what Homes for the Holidays is that what we do is at first we was assist single mothers who were becoming first-time homeowners, and that was giving them $5,000 down payment and fully furnishing their homes with food, furniture, linens, garden tools, TVs, computers, whatever you can name. We were doing that. So for the first few years of this program, I was mainly working with single mothers because that's what I can relate to. My mom was a single mother.
Yeah.
Then over the years, we started to work with single fathers. I just felt like, man, this single parents struggle. Everyone needs help.
Yeah.
So the last now, going on 20 years, we're celebrating 20 years, and we're up to 159 parents that we've helped over 20 years. Now, the goal is just to help families because, the way the environment is, you have 2-parent households that struggle. So the charity, the organization has transformed. Homes for Holidays is the signature program, but it's called Work Done Charities, and we have support services for our families and so forth. And I can tell you for 5 years, it's just a program. 2002, we started a charity,
right.
And it's been going ever since.
I brought that up because you mentioned that this actually is therapy for you. You look at it that way. This really helps you, this Homes for a Holiday.
Well, I can see myself in a lot of the kids,
yeah.
Right? And honestly, I can tell you, it's been a learning opportunity for me over the years. That when I first started, I was just really focused on the mothers, right? And the dads and so forth. But over the years, I really think it's mainly about the kids. I just think about my life. If I would have had an environment that was safe, secure, my brothers and sisters, if they would have had an environment, I think the outcome would have been different a little bit. My mom wouldn't have had to work all this overtime just to make ends meet. She wouldn't have to sacrifice her life. And I want to help other kids not experience what I had to go through when I was a kid. So it's really inspirational.
Well, you're the legacy for your mom. I want to shift gears for a minute. So you mentioned it. You had Bobby Bowden, and then you went to Tony Dungy. What has coaching meant to you, just in general, to have a coach help you with your game?
Well, I can start off by Little League. Like I said, I mentioned a guy named Maynard Brooks Choo-Choo. I call him Pops, and he taught me the game of football. I mean, I think I already knew how to play the game. He just taught me the fundamentals, right? So
what was that word? Fundamentals?
Fundamentals.
Okay, all right.
He taught me the fundamentals of the game, and I became a student. But as I got older, I gravitated to guys who really took me under their wing in a sense. I mean, when we talk about Coach Bowden, I mean, because of my situation, losing my mom and deciding to go to Florida State, and just for the record, Florida State recruited me to play defensive back. And I made a deal with Coach Bowden. I said, the only way that I will come is that if you allow me to play running back, then I will sign. If it don't work out, then I'll move to defensive back. Because everyone thought I could be the next Dion and Terrell Buckner and so forth. And I wanted to be Warwick Dunn.
There you go.
So it all worked out after that.
It sure did work out.
But with Coach Bowden, I can tell you, he had an open door policy. So I was able to go to Coach Bowden. I mean, I probably saw him every week early on and just talk to him about life. And I try to get examples of different things that were going on in my family. Trying to raise two girls or be an example for two girls. My sister is 3 years younger than me, and I have one that was almost 10 years younger, 9 years younger. It was tough. And
Trying to figure that out.
Trying to figure it out, but he gave me examples of what he did with his kids, Tom and those guys, and I took his examples, and then I tried to really pull them into decisions I had to make with my brothers and sisters at that time. So I learned the valuable lessons that with kids, I mean, I have a son now who's 6 years old. With kids, I can't be their friend. I'm their parent. And at that time, I was in such a weird position because being the big brother of definitely a 9-year-old, 8-year-old, 9-year-old, I wanted to make sure she was okay, that she was secure, but at the same time, I should have cut that situation off. But like, I'm your brother, but I'm your parent, and raised her a little bit different. So, I look back on we all make mistakes, but Coach Bowden was great, open door policy, and Coach Dungy, he was really a guy who taught me just a lot about life. He had this thing about perception versus reality. We all look at things and we perceive things. I mean, when you talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, we always talk about, we could have won this play if this guy would have did this guy would have did that. We're perceived to be a bad team, but the perception is we're one play off, we're one this and one that away from being a really good football team. So he taught me a lot about perception versus reality, and now I've been able to utilize these two individuals in my life and a lot of examples and things that I've done.
Outstanding. Well, I want to go back to your program. The actual program, per house, what does it cost to do one house?
Well, it really depends on the market, but the range is it's almost like $40,000. When I say that, I said we give money for the down payment and we fully furnish the home. But it also depends on the size of the family as well.
Right.
So, but usually it's like $40,000. We're in 9 states, 15 markets now. We've gone all the way up to Newark, New Jersey. We've been all the way as west as Phoenix, Arizona, Topeka, Kansas. We've been in Dallas, Baltimore. So we're moving around, and we've had great partners with the Lions. Detroit Lions is a partner with the charity, the Jacksonville Jaguars, and also the commissioner, Roger Goodell. He sponsors some home.
I saw him in the film.
Yeah, he's been there. And plus my partner, Mr. Blank in Atlanta, he's also part of the church as well.
Yeah. Outstanding.
Oh, you scared me, man. I'm sorry.
I heard it. I scared an NFL running back. Yeah. I still got it.
He looks like a linebacker.
Oh, yeah, he does.
I'm small. I'm actually small for a running back, but ace.
Mr. Duncan, John Davis, and we are so impressed with everything that you've done. Your story is amazing. It's amazing. And if it's all right with you, we'd like to present you with a check for $40,000 so you can get another family. At Keller Williams, we love to give, right? What is that announcement?
That's right. So we want to open this up to all of you. So if you look on your KW app, there is an opportunity to do a donation to Work Done's charity Home for the Holidays. So we hope you will take some time to contribute. Yeah?
All right, so here's the thing. We love to give at Keller Williams, right?
Yeah.
So between now and the end of the show, let's see if we can get another home, another family home in this wonderful charity. This just in. We already have $10,000 towards that goal.
Okay, Kyle.
I set out on a narrow way many years ago, hoping I could find true love on the broken road. I got lost a time, my pine route kept pushing through. I couldn't see how every sign pointed straight to you. Every long lost dream led me to where you are. And others who broke my heart, well, they were like northern stars, pointing me on my way into your loving arms. This much I know is true, that God bless the broken road led me straight to you. Think about the years I spent just passing through. I'd like to have the time I lost and give it back to you. You just smile and take my hand. You've been there, you understand. It's all part of a grander plan that is coming true. Every long lost dream led me to where you are. And others who broke my heart, they were like northern stars, pointing me on my way into your loving arms. This much I know is true, that God bless the broken road led me straight to you. Pointing me on my way into your loving arms. This much I know is true, that God bless the broken road led me straight to you.
Every year at Inspirational Morning, The Bob Carter Inspirational Award is given to a person who has shown extraordinary commitment to the Keller Williams family.
Thank you for taking Red Day to a whole new level. What you've done is absolutely amazing.
The award is named after Bob Carter. He created the computer program that formulates the Keller Williams profit share system. As Vice President of Technology, he saw Gary Keller's vision and worked directly with him to make it a reality. Even though there was no proof the system would work, Bob saw the possibilities and became the implementer, bringing the system to life. Bob was then diagnosed with terminal cancer and was given a very short time to live. With the help of a consultant and in between and during chemotherapy sessions, Bob methodically documented years of system changes that only he knew. Before he passed away, Bob successfully preserved the systemization of our profit share program. It was his dedicated leadership that inspired the Bob Carter Inspirational Award, and those who receive it are truly creating a culture that is changing the world.
One of the greatest honors at Keller Williams is the Bob Carter Inspirational Award. I've had the honor of knowing this year's recipients for 24 years. They've been a big part of my career. More importantly, they've been a big part of my life. Please join me in congratulating Kathy and Randy Nye. Ladies and gentlemen, Randy and Kathy Nye, thank you very much. When it comes to natural disasters,